Today we're talking about a kind of obscure historical figure. His name is Napoleon Bonaparte. He led French troops from 1769 to 1821. And
Really? I didn't know it was that long.
He was actually pretty good at war.
Wait, 17?
Maybe that's what...
That's 50 years. I didn't know.
Maybe that's how long he lived. I don't know.
Oh, wait, that wasn't Napoleon.
Alexander the Great. What age did he die at? Did he die early?
Young. Yeah. He was
Okay,
young.
that's how long he lived then, guys. I apologize. Excuse me. Let me ask you this. Who would be someone, like, if you had to give me, like, a top 5 or a top 10 top military practitioners, who would be in your top? What are some names?
Napoleon.
You don't have to give me. Okay, Napoleon.
Alexander.
So this is Chat GPT has Napoleon at 3, Alexander at numero uno.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
You agree? You concur?
Who's 2?
Genghis Khan, the
Okay.
Mongol Empire. 4, Hannibal Barca, who you're a big fan of.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar, 5. One of Genghis Khan's top generals, 6. And Subutai. Have you ever heard of Frederick the Great? Prussian. He's number 7.
I don't know if I have.
Khalid Abi al-Walid is 8. And then Arthur Wesley, Duke of Wellington, number 9. And that is who Napoleon went up against at Waterloo. So that one victory pretty much just put him on the fucking map.
Well, I don't know if he had any others or not of note or not. But now, I didn't see... You saw the current Napoleon, right?
Yeah, I saw Ridley Scott's version with Joaquin Phoenix.
In Waterloo, I had read that Wellington, I think, kind of picked the battlefield.
Yes.
Or met him at that. And that's in Belgium,
he
correct?
got that first.
Waterloo is Belgium.
I guess.
I'm pretty sure. But it was like a slightly hilly...
Yep. And
rolling
he had
hills.
he had his back to a forest. And Napoleon, as he got to the battlefield, was like, this guy doesn't study Caesar. He's like, he fucked himself. He's like, he picked this terrible location, and I mean, it turns out he was wrong.
Well, part of it was because it was not flat. That Napoleon...
They had to keep going uphill to them.
Well, no, his cannon...
Oh, couldn't make it.
Yeah, his cannon fire, because on flat terrain, cannon fire is very effective.
Yeah.
Well, some of them would explode, but other ones are just a cannonball that you shoot directly at the troops, and it just ricochets back and forth, taking out.
Yeah, I never even thought about it.
So, like the hilly terrain, it didn't, it
would just stick.
Yeah, or bounce up into the air or something.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even think about because that was a huge issue, and in the movie. So this is Sergei Bondarchuk again. I know we're sticking with him, but these 2 movies were fantastically funded, and the spectacle is insane because of it. The battles look like
real.
They probably would. This, though, you can understand the narrative of the battle much, much easier than in War and Peace. War and Peace, they're communicating the chaos of battle. In Napoleon, you're understanding or trying to understand what's happening.
Now, okay, in the Waterloo of Napoleon, that the current film.
Waterloo is the 1970 film.
I'm talking about the actual battle.
Okay.
Not the movie.
Yes.
Because he was in Waterloo in the movie Napoleon, correct?
Yeah, that is in there. But it does all of Napoleon.
Right, I understand that, but
I mean, yeah,
Waterloo's in it.
I'm sure.
There was a battle for him as Napoleon approached Belgium or Waterloo, that he was in, I think, with Prussians. And he had won, but he kind of spared, instead of just annihilating them, which he could have, he spared the commander.
Something like that. Oh, yes. That's even shown in this movie, Waterloo.
Yeah, in Waterloo it is. I know. I'm saying in Napoleon.
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, anyway. But so years. That was a strategic mistake because that army was able to reform.
It wasn't even his mistake. He told the guy, he's like, why didn't you keep chasing? Why did you come back to tell me they're retreating?
Yeah.
And why didn't you just fucking kill them?
Yeah.
Because he knew immediately, like, that was a huge blunder. Yeah.
Because they were going to be able to be available at that battle.
Wellington, yeah. Very interesting. And I wonder how, because I think it was it probably weighed heavy on the minds of the French soldiers as they saw the approach of the Prussians.
So it was because there was a time where they weren't sure if it was the Prussians.
They thought it might be them.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't tell the color of.
Yeah.
Because.
It was the Prussians?
It was the Prussians, yeah. I think the Prussians wore black, and obviously the French wore blue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Good luck telling that. Near dawn. And Wellington. So and I think they used a lot of, historical quotes that were really badass. The one about Napoleon and, like, how he came back to power. I guess one of the princes was like, this is a crime against France for him to steal the throne. He said, I took my whatever you call it. What do you call swords? Like, is it called a lance?
Saber?
I took my saber, something like that. I took my saber. I picked the crown out of the gutter, and the people placed it upon my head.
Mm-hmm.
Which I am almost positive is a quote that can be actually attributed to Napoleon. Just badass.
Yeah.
Like, it felt, as he was saying it, it was like, oh, I know this.
This quote.
Yeah. And he was talking about Wellington during the battle, and he said something along the lines of, like, I'm trying to war against Ellington, and he has mastered the art of sitting there. Or he's beating me with the art of sitting still, something like that.
Yeah.
Where he kept expecting Wellington to advance towards him, and he was completely content to just hold his position, which kept fucking up Napoleon. It was almost like by doing quote-unquote wrong things,
mm-hmm.
it threw Napoleon for a loop and just allowed him to beat himself. And
yeah,
he was so, in his mind, like, there was a farmhouse that he was like, if we take the farmhouse, we will have won the battle. So they take it at 6 p.m. and he tells someone, send letter back to France, we've won the battle, scratch that, we won the war. And then 2 hours later, they lose it. And it's like the tide of the battle had turned that quick.
Yeah.
And then he's saying, like, oh, in one of my battles, he kept mentioning the name of this, and I wish I remembered it, but I'll never remember it. He's like, we had lost by 7, and I had won by 9. He's thinking he can do that here, but it's like, no, dude. Like, you turned the tide here, and here the tide had turned you.
Yeah.
You're fucked, You had whatever upper hand you had, but it was all just playing into Wellington's master defensive strategy, which, like you said, I guess the hill had a great impact on the cannons, and beyond that, they had issues even getting the cannons there. So it was
maybe muddy or something, I don't know.
Yeah, really muddy. Like, they chose that location after a rain, so I think that was taken very much into account. And one of his generals, he launched an attack where all of the cavalry went without any, what do you call, like, people without any riflemen, without any infantry.
Yeah.
And, like, Napoleon, because he was sick, like, he had to take rest from commanding the war for, like, an hour, and he came back, and this guy just fucked up majorly.
Yeah.
Just basically wasted this cavalry unit.
Who were unsupported,
return.
so that they...
Yeah. It was really well done. I know nothing about military tactics.
Yeah, I don't either. When they would talk, I'm like, what did he do? I don't understand.
But it does feel like this epic chess match is being played. And I've been super into watching movies like this, and it just feels like I found the perfect... It was like, hey, here's the epitome of what you've been trying to find. This is it.
Well, that was a chess match, that battle. That was... I mean, when they say that, about it being a chess match, that was the actual perfect battle for that. The quote you were talking about, I did not usurp the crown. It was in the gutter, and I picked it up. That's what...
And the people...
Oh, here it is. I found the crown of France in the gutter. I picked it up with the tip of my sword and cleaned it and placed it atop my head.
Yeah. And that can be attributed to Napoleon?
He said it, yeah.
Okay. Oh, because people quote me all the times with things I've never said.
Yeah, I know. I hate that.
People always...
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I know. People always say that I say certain words that I would never say.
Because you don't know a lot of them. And for big words, I know it's not you.
Yeah. You like 2-syllable words. I don't know a lot of them.
Yeah. But, yeah. So Napoleon, the movie, I want to see again. I did see it. I loved it. I remember it to this day. Or much of it.
You keep...
I'd like to see it again.
The newish one. That's Napoleon.
Waterloo.
Okay. You keep flipping them?
No.
It's not making me angry.
You misunderstand. I say you should know what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though, when I say that?
I
say
Waterloo, and it's good. And it's in English. Which you would not appreciate the fact that War and Peace...
Oh, my God. It's the subtitles.
Yeah.
I could live with that. It's all war.
It won the Best Foreign Picture in 1967, and that was the first time that a Soviet film had won Best Foreign Picture at the Oscars.
Oh, wow.
Just a little fun fact for you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And we talked about, the enormous budget of that, but Napoleon had to have a crazy-ass budget too, man. Do you remember, like, the war scenes? It was fucking nuts.
Yeah, there was a lot of extras and stuff. And they were doing the horses across the frozen lake, and that's the Battle of Austerlitz.
They didn't show that.
Why not?
Well, they show that in the Ridley Scott one. Are you fucking with me?
What?
That's not Waterloo.
I didn't say it was.
That's what you're talking.
Napoleon.
You're talking about the Ridley Scott movie that you haven't seen.
My favorite is Waterloo, Napoleon in Love.
Yeah, the comedy movie. Napoleon it's not even on the same playing field. And I like Ridley Scott. I think he does epics pretty well. Black Hawk Down in its own way could be said as an epic. And Gladiator is definitely an epic. The Sword in the Sand. It was proof that it could still be done into the 2000s. Gladiator 2, I gave a good rating. Napoleon, I was a little tougher on. I still liked it. I still thought it was very good. But to compare Waterloo to Napoleon they're not in the same weight class.
Okay, yeah. I didn't hear a lot of talk about how wonderful Napoleon was, and it was an epic
of panning of it, actually. A lot of critics were tough on it.
Yeah, well, that's
I was one of the people who was relatively high. I gave it a 3.5. which you're probably like, that doesn't mean anything, because I give 5s to War and Peace. 3.5 is semi-pedestrian amongst movies that people watch.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No.
And if you're
a movie of that magnitude, it's almost a 3.5 just because
by
of
existing.
Yeah.
And if you do it cohesively and it's well executed, it's like an automatic 4.
Yeah.
And then it's just like the little things.
I can't think of anything. Would you? I guess you'd give maybe Gladiator a 4, for instance.
I gave it a 4, and and if I were to rewatch it, I would probably give Gladiator 2 a 3.5. I gave it a 4 just because I was like, it's just fucking nostalgic. You're like, oh man, this is like almost as good as Gladiator.
Yeah.
It just reminds you of Gladiator, and yeah, there's cool scenes. I don't know. I did like Gladiator too, but it's doing a lot of things that Gladiator did.
Yeah. I would like to see a movie about... Well, like Rome was never, like, defeated in a major...
battle.
It was just a attrition, really. They had...
Yeah, barbarians and then whatever you call it.
Poor...
Dilapidation.
Rot from within. But had they been... like, the Greeks and the Romans, I think, had some major battles for Rome to become, the most powerful in the Western world, more so than Greece. So those...
Yeah, I
went to a movie like that.
Battles.
Yeah.
I want to see Troy done even better than it was done. Was it done well? Yeah. Of course it was done well. But I think it could have been done even better. If it was done in the style of like...
a different style I would definitely appreciate. I mean, because, they had Brad Pitt. He was a pretty boy.
Yeah, it seems more like... I don't know. The 2000s did not have a good look, generally, for its films.
Yeah.
There's always exceptions to the rule, but even those films that are at the upper echelon of the bandwidth of what you normally got.
Yeah.
It suffered from that. Where just the visual style, I just kind of remember being like a lot of other films from the 2000s, and it's not particularly attractive or aesthetic.
Yeah, that's the Trojan horse thing, and so there wasn't much in the way of a battle. There was a battle, I think.
It was like, hey, everyone's asleep and we're here.
Well, even prior to that, it was a raid, and they opened the gates, and But wasn't there one prior, like when prior to them doing the Trojan horse?
Not that I remember. Something I will say is it is like Lord of the Rings did come out around the same time as Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they don't look similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was Lord of the Rings was a richer palette.
I should just feel lucky for the fact that we had Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I fucking love Greek history and that shit.
Yeah. I do too. It's just that story doesn't... Because there's no war. There's no battle. Like you say, it's a raid.
Yeah.
And there's chaos, but it's not like...
There's got to be so many Greek battles, though, to draw upon.
Oh my God.
Do that instead.
Yeah.
That's just the only one I know. And then the 300, which I will say, like, Zack Snyder, that's maybe his crowning achievement as a director.
Do you ever see the the sequel to it?
No, it's rated. It's not rated very well.
It's not great. It's not that.
Figured.
It's mostly a battle. It's mostly a sea battle. It's battle at sea.
I didn't know the Spartans. I thought they were just like, we're not fighting at sea. It's like
I
we're
don't
really
think it was.
good on
It
these.
wasn't just the Spartans, though. I think at that time, because the Persians wanted to basically annex all the Greek cities.
So Athens.
Yeah, I think they banded together because the Persians had like ridiculous numbers. I mean,
That was kind of their gig.
yeah, I
Just
don't know.
throwing numbers at you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they were good soldiers too. What did they call the? I remember they always liked the name of that. The
Well, there's Saladin, but that's not the guy you're talking about.
no, there's a warrior class or a group of the Persian army. It was like not the Untouchables. It was like
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember.
yeah, it was a cool name. I gotta look that up. I'll look up cool names for Persian army. No, that's not it, but it's something similar to that. But
The Immortals or something.
I think it was the Immortals. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. And I think they called them that because they would just keep filling in the formation.
Probably. That's, I never thought about why they called him that. I just thought it was a really cool name. Yeah, I mean, because there was just so many of them. And they didn't.
Column Falls. It's like,
Yeah, just replace it. And then had Xerxes, the living
that
god.
was the guy. Yeah. Yeah, but Napoleon, that's something that Ridley Scott in his movie does touch upon, is the many failures of Napoleon. So to get sent to Alba and then to fail again at Waterloo, but I guess he had even failures prior to those major ones, but it shows the amount of losses he had at major battles, and the numbers are quite staggering. You're like, holy shit! This guy.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that. I thought, I mean, like prior to Russia, campaign, that he was thought to be unbeatable. They just, he was like Robert E. Lee in the South. In the Civil War.
And I think they were very. I mean, they were minor, all in comparison to Russia. That was big loss, But then Waterloo is also overshadowed by Russia, but it was his last hurrah,
That's,
if he could have shooed away the English, he would have ruled France for who knows how long.
Europe, not just France.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that was his goal. I mean, he wanted to rule England too. I mean, how he thought his navy would stack up against the British Navy, I don't know, but
yeah,
because they had they never had a good navy. I don't know why, France, but
maybe they just didn't like the water.
No, a lot of French people don't like to bathe. I don't know if it's a water
I've
thing.
heard that. I think it's because they're cheeses.
Yeah.
And they want to be like the cheese.
They want to smell like cheese.
Yes.
Yeah, that would do it if you don't bathe. You'll smell something.
I mean, I don't know if that's historically accurate or even culturally insensitive, but
well, they don't like us either, so we can make fun of them.
Yeah, I would highly recommend.
Those Americans, we hate them. They're so sophisticated.
Well, they do not appreciate the Eiffel Tower, and they do not like our coffee. Was that any good?
No,
it wasn't.
Not. No, it was pretty good. It wasn't that bad.
Again, as I said, recommendations. And
I watched Black Mirror, the first 3 Black Mirrors.
I've seen at least that. What'd you think?
I like them. They're good. I like them. They're interesting.
So you got the.
They're the 7th season. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they've been going for a while. The first episode is about the subscription thing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites so far. And then the second one, is that about the coworker?
Yeah.
Who has the necklace thing?
Right.
That one's interesting. Though, I honestly, episode 1 might still be my favorite of the bunch. Because it might have the best ending. So, that I've seen so far.
Yeah, the ending is good.
I haven't seen Eulogy, and I haven't seen the USS McAllister episode yet. And then there's 3. Is that Hotel Revelry?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
You know, I liked that. I did.
I did too.
There was a really good love story. I liked that because, well, you know, the girl had died, either committed suicide. You know, the actress, and what it was, you know, in that day and time, she was a lesbian, and you couldn't be a lesbian.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't let anybody see it or anything like that. I don't know. I thought it was, you know, sometimes they do jam in, you know, this was not. That just happened to be the situation, and I liked the story a lot.
Me too. That one rivals one the most. It's really tough. I don't know if it's just, you know, whenever you get options, you're more likely to choose the first or the last one. That's how it feels with that. It's like I saw the first one first. Is that why I'm just stuck on it being the best?
Right.
But it's between Hotel Revelry and that for the best. Then I think the second one is good, though I wasn't crazy about the ending. Then the one after that,
I thought the ending was kind of cool, though. I don't know how she transferred.
How they reveal. I do like how they reveal what the necklace is, because you're like,
yeah. Well, I never even was 100% sure it was the neck. I mean, I kind of had you know, but I'm like, what could the necklace be? You know.
And that's another thing too.
That's a huge.
It's like, I don't care how much computing power you have.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be the one to figure it out.
Right, and have it all in your house. The
government would have fucking done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's possible, and you know what I mean?
Right.
The next one, I'm not sure how I feel about the ending again.
I didn't see the fourth one.
You're going to have to let me know, because the way the story is really, really good. I just don't, because it's got tremendous, like, exponential structure, where you're like, oh, this keeps getting more suspenseful, and where is it going, and what's happening with this? Yeah. I just don't know if the payoff is great enough for it. So
for how it built up.
Exactly.
Those are tough.
Good, but it's like,
yeah. I'll see what I think of it.
And then I want to check out the last two when I get a chance.
Wonder if McAllister isn't going to have Jesse. What's his face in?
Why? Based on how one ended?
Well, did he just kind of sail off into oblivion?
Yeah, I guess so.
But maybe he does. You know, maybe he comes back. And I don't know. You know, that was really good. In
that world with them, you know.
Yeah, that one was really, really good.
Oh yeah, the first one. That's why it's one of the few that necessitates a sequel.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked one. There are so many episodes like that. Just like classic episodes.
Yeah.
White Christmas is one of them. The one with John Hamm.
Oh my God! You know what? Yeah, I think that is the best. Yeah, that is hard to beat. Crushing.
I know.
You know, and then his punishment is so horrid.
I know. Yeah, and that's the one where it's like the techno dystopia is the most brutal.
Yeah.
In that episode. Because there's like versions of yourself, so it's like clones of your consciousness that have to do menial tasks for you.
Yeah. And
that's fucking brutal. And then how you get punished if you're a criminal in that world is like you can't interact with anyone.
The other one that I liked very much was the one where they kept having to do a task and they would pass it off to another person.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
That one was soul crushing.
Yeah.
Because
there was a drone filming the kid and he had to fight like a... Yeah. That one was fucking good. And I thought you were talking about another one, which also is on my top, is there's like a black girl and her boyfriend, and they keep replaying this day over and over again because they like committed some heinous crime.
Yeah.
It's like they get mind wiped, and at the end, they're shown to like a live studio audience. It's like their punishment for the crime. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
That one's
And then at the end, they're
amazing.
I thought it was just one person though, just a woman.
Just the one, yeah. Maybe
She killed
the
a child
boyfriend
or something
died.
like
Yeah,
that?
something like her and her boyfriend did. And I don't know if she was just being punished separately or if the boyfriend had died.
Yeah, I don't. But I thought there was just the one. And yeah, then in the ending was so.
Yeah, you like feel bad for her,
Yeah.
but in a way you're like, I mean, she did do something horrific.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's why Black Mirror is so good.
Yeah. If we want to give a thumbs up to a series,
Yeah,
you got to
so
check a
far.
couple of those out.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the series, holy shit.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people who haven't,
You
But
guys-
if you didn't know, season 7's out with 6 episodes. So
Yeah. I guess Love, Death, and Robots had a new season. And I've watched many episodes from that and enjoyed it.
okay, I've not.
I haven't seen the new season yet, though, but I'll try to check it out.
Yeah,